Hey guys, this is gonna have to be the view. I just wanted to give a little life update and talk about the run I just did today actually. So this is gonna be a longer recap video and I'm probably only gonna get like 20 views, so it doesn't really matter, but I'm just gonna go over my running background a little bit. So a lot of arm wrestlers that don't know me well think that I run and I arm wrestle, and that's somewhat true and mostly false, I would say. So in 2016, I started distance running, and I distance ran seriously for 2 years, and then took a few months off and did one more fall of distance running seriously. And that's it, basically. So from May 2016 until May 2018, I distance ran. No marathons. Everyone thinks I was a marathoner. I never did a marathon. I did miles, half miles, 5Ks, a couple 10 miles, 2 of them, and one half marathon, which was the longest distance I ever raced. No marathons. And during that time, I still went to practice every week for arm wrestling and did tournaments in Minnesota only. Maybe 1 or 2 in Wisconsin here and there as well. But I did not lift weights basically at all. And I definitely got weaker. And because you can't really train for both. I don't know, maybe if you're on steroids you can, which I'm not sure. But no steroids, you definitely can't train for both. To your full extent, you can half-pass both, but if you want to train as hard as you can for running, you're not going to be able to train that much for arm wrestling and vice versa. Because I'll tell you, I get home from work, I go for a run, take a shower, I eat. The last thing I'm going to do is have the energy to go and lift weights heavy. So yeah, from 2016 May till 2018 May, I did arm wrestle practice basically every week. Sometimes twice, but no weight training besides occasional pull-ups and push-ups with just body weight. And that was absolutely it. Since 2018, I have ran a few races on very, very minimal training. I'm talking like 1 to 2 runs a week of half hour or less per run for a month at a time. So basically just like on average one race a year since 2019 onward is what I've ran with minimal to no training. In 2022, I signed up for a mile. I wanted to see what I could run for a mile with no training at all. Obviously I was in the gym still, but cardio was 0. I do have a 1 acre backyard and I'd run around with the dogs for maybe 5 minutes here and there, a couple times, 2, 3, 4 times a week. But that was absolutely it for cardio. And in 2022, I did that mile, and my goal was to break 7, and I ran like a 7:02. Then the next year, 2023, I signed up for the same mile, and I was going to do no training and see what I could do again, just to see what I could run a mile in, because I thought that was a fun thing to just see. I got to merge over here. Road closures. And about roughly 3 weeks before the race, I was like, you know, maybe I should train a little bit. So I ran for 3 weeks, and this was 2023, and I ran a 6:40, and then I quit instantly without like no training at all after that for running 0. And then in 2024, I decided to start training for running again in June. I trained for about a month and a half, and my knee kept hurting me very badly, and I ended up quitting. Now this year, no races in 2024. Now this year, I started running early in March, and my goal was to start really slow, because I think in 2024, not sure if it's the reason my knee started hurting me, but I think I tried to go too hard, too quick, too soon. So I tried to push the brakes, you know, not push the brakes, but let off on the gas and start out slower, and gradually increase my mileage, not do any track workouts until May 1st was my goal, and I stuck to it. So it was almost 2 months base training, as they call it, with no track workouts, which, come on, in 2024, I went to the track the second week and tried to rip off some 500s, which probably is a terrible idea. But I put my feet in there, and I like to just go really hard and see gains, and I can only go so hard. Especially I'm 35, I'm not like a teenager. My phone says object on the road, so I'm being cautious here. I don't see anything. So yeah, so I started training early in March, and I knew I was going to race at some point if I stuck with it. I started with 10 miles a week, and I went to like 15, 16 a week on average in April. Then May was 20 a week, miles per week. And then now I'm up to mid-20s per week with the track interval session every week. Sometimes twice, usually once. Sometimes I do like every 5 or 6 days, so it ends up being slightly more than once a week, but it's not like twice in a 7-day period usually. So tonight I did a mile race, and for the record, as far as arm wrestling goes, I did nationals in April. That was my last tournament, and I've been running for about a month, maybe not quite a month before that, but only 10 to 14 miles a week on average. And I still trained for arm wrestling as hard as I could at that time. I'd lift weights before I ran. I wasn't running too much to where I felt too drained to lift. So like as far as nationals go, I think I was strong at nationals. I don't have any excuses for nationals. But now, since nationals, I'm doing minimal weight training. Some pull-ups and push-ups, just body weight, no added weight for reps once a week. Mostly high reps things once a week on all the exercises. I'm talking like 20 reps, 5 sets, just to keep some conditioning up and be healthy, I guess. And I'm still practicing once a week. I definitely think I'm going to be weaker if I keep up this training and arm wrestling. I'm going to be weaker with the running, but it is what it is. I'm enjoying running right now. I signed up for a 5K on July 4th, and tonight I did a mile race. My goal in the mile, this was a track meet put on by the Minnesota Distance Running Association. And this meet, you put your projected finish time when you signed up, and then they seeded you into heats. I put 6 to 6:30. My goal was 6:20, and I ran a 6:17.51, so I broke my goal by 2.5 seconds, which my buddy Eric says he knows I ran a 6:16. We both thought it said 6:16 when I crossed the line, but it is what it is. I still broke my goal, and it was hard. In my training, I some days thought, oh yeah, definitely can break 6:20. I even thought maybe I could break 6:10, but then other days I was like, well, 6:20 sounds really hard. But today was pretty good weather for June. My race was at 7 o'clock p.m. on a weekday, which I do think a weekday race favors me less, because I think whenever I run first thing in the morning on the weekend, which usually I do my training runs in the evening on weekdays, when I do my morning runs on weekends, I feel most of the time better. I think because I'm fresh, it's first thing in the morning, I don't have any, I'm just getting out of bed, and pretty much within half an hour going out to run, which on a weekday, my job is not overly strenuous, but I am on my feet most of the day, so I'm not quite as fresh for the evening ones. But as far as the weather, it was like in the low 70s, 73 maybe, with some humidity, but the weather for this time of year was pretty much, it could be cooler out, but it wasn't like warm per se. Luckily, if this race was about 3 days later, it would have been in the 90s. It would have been terrible, but the weather was pretty good today overall. And okay, so this race, so even though most of the guys in this heat should have been around the 6 to 6:30 range, the winner of this heat ran a 5:23, which it's like, okay, come on, you're in the wrong heat. You should be in a quicker heat. She would have actually won the heat that was supposed to be one quicker than mine. She would have won that heat. So I don't know what's going on there, but I don't know if it's a mistake on the athlete's part or the organization's part. But either way, it doesn't really matter, because I wasn't going to win anyway. But right away, I'm going to go over my laps now. thank you if you're one of the 10 people still watching. So my goal, so in the mile, it's 4 laps around the track, but it's actually just over 4 laps because it's 1,600 meters would be 4 laps. It's 1,609 meters, so the first lap is 409 meters, and then 400 meters per lap after that. And so I was shooting for, my splits I was shooting for was actually 6:18. I was, just to make it easy because I didn't want to figure out decimal points. So it would have been a 96-second first lap, 94 seconds after that. So it would have been a 49-second first, 209 meters, and then 47 for every 200 meters after that was my goal. And if you don't know, in track races, any race, but it helps to draft off someone. So if you're really close behind someone within a foot or two, drafting off them, they block your wind. That's a good thing. You might only make up a second or two a lap, I'm not sure, but you know, that's still time. And it's also psychological, like if you're following someone, then you don't have to think so much about the pace, you just follow them and you turn your brain off. So right away, my goal obviously, if I could, was to follow someone, but I knew there might be some people that were way too fast to follow. Right away, I thought there were only 3, but I guess there were 4 people, because I didn't even see that girl. I don't know where she came from, the one that ran 5:23. But right away, I saw 3 guys in front of me. And I was like, okay, just let them go. They're going quicker than you. But I thought maybe they were going out a little bit hard and they were going to come back to me once they wore out. Because some people, you know, they don't pace right. They do the first lap a little too hard and then they slow down. So I thought maybe they'll come back to me, but I'm not trying to keep up with them for now because I went through the first 100, checked my watch. I kept checking my watch every 100 meters, 200 meters, checking my splits, making sure I wasn't going too quick because pacing's important, right? And so the first lap I was shooting for a 96 and I ran a 94. And I visibly said out loud, oh, that's fast. And if you were right behind me, you might have heard me, but there were at least 2, maybe 3 guys right on my tail using me to draft off of and pace off of. And I was hoping one of them would pass me. And I almost even said, you guys can pass me if you want, but I mean, like, pacing behind someone that's totally legit, and I don't blame them one bit for pacing off of me. I would have done the same thing. But the guys that were ahead of me were significantly ahead of me. There was no chance of me catching them ever. After the first lap, or even the first 300 meters, I didn't even think about catching them anymore. I just forgot about them because they were so far ahead. But the second lap, so I did a 94, should have been a 96, and then I was shooting for a 94, and it was a 98 second lap. And I knew it was just slow, even though the 98, you know, versus 96, or 98 versus 94, but overall I did halfway. The second lap I went through at about 3:11, which was just slow. I shoot for 3:10, about a second quicker. So I knew I had to pick it up slightly, but I was getting really tired, right? And then both guys behind me passed me with about 700 meters to go, which I loved. And then they almost got a few meters on me, maybe 3, maybe 4, and I told myself, just stay right with them, just stay right with them. Because A, obviously I wanted to draft off of them and have them block the wind. And B, I knew to run the time I wanted to run, I couldn't fade. And if I had faded, I probably wouldn't catch back up. So coming through, I did the third lap in about, oh man, what was it? Was it a 96, about what I was shooting for? So I was just off pace. And then, no, I was shooting for 94. I think I did 96, because that would put me at 37, 447. Yeah, that's about what I did. And then on the last lap, going into it, I knew I had to go slightly quicker than what I hoped to do for a lap, about 2 to 3 seconds quicker to get the time I wanted. And I was right on the runners' tails in front of me, and I knew I would pass them both. Like, obviously I didn't know, but like psychologically I'm like, I'm going to. And one of them I passed with about 250 meters to go, and he faded horribly. He ended up being even though I only passed him with 250 meters to go, which is just over an eighth of a mile, he ended up running, what was it, 12 seconds slower than me. He totally faded. And then the other guy did good, and I was right on him at 200. Obviously, if you can, you don't want to pass on a curve, because running outside on the curve, you run extra distance. I heard his buddy with about 150 meters to go yell at him, "Don't let him pass you, Chris, don't let him pass you." And I think I kind of nodded. I'm like, oh, I'm going to pass him. And then, because usually I have a pretty good kick, even though I was completely out of oxygen, I knew if I put the pedal down, I should be able to out-kick the guy. I know it's not always the case, but in my mind, I can always out-kick the guy at the end of the race if it's close, because in high school I was a sprinter, and for my distance speed, I have a good kick compared to other people at my level. I actually don't know if I've ever been out-kicked in a close race. But it hurts, right? And then I actually was right on the guy's shoulder, on his right shoulder, so on the outside of lane 1 with about 150, 140 meters to go, I was thinking about going around him, but I knew I should wait till the home stretch so I didn't have to run extra distance. And when we got to the home stretch, I moved into lane 2, and I didn't pass him right away, because obviously the pros will kick with 300, 200 meters to go, but I can't do that, especially when I'm this tired. I don't want to blow chunks all over the floor. So I didn't actually, I like caught up to him with maybe 70 meters to go in my memory. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to pass him and go for it. And he didn't really have a response, to be honest. So once I passed him, it was over for him. But I ran a 6:17 and a half. I think he was about a second and a half behind me, which is still solid. And my last lap was 89 seconds, which my goal was 94s. I ran it 5 seconds quicker than that. And I'm like, actually, that might be the thing I'm most happy about. I'm really surprised I was able to pull off that pace. 90-second laps would be 6-minute pace, just under 90. And my buddy Eric thinks I should already shoot for 6-minute pace in another month. I think 6 minutes is 2 months away. But maybe if I do one, there's a good mile race in Hopkins in a month. If I do it, maybe I'll shoot for sub 6:10, maybe 6:07, so like 10 seconds quicker. I don't know. But I don't know if I can do that one, but I'm doing in just over 3 weeks a 5K in Delano. Should be warm, slightly hilly, I believe, but not like extreme. I'm shooting for sub 21 for that, but I think realistically, and I talked with Eric and he agrees, like a 21:15, 21:20 would be a realistic goal. So we'll have to see how training goes the next couple of weeks, and I think I'm gonna try to run. We'll see. Maybe I'll go hot because I just might, but I think I'm gonna try to shoot for 21:15 pace. That way, if I feel good in the second half, maybe I can kick it up and still get that 21. Or if I am only in 21:20 shape, maybe by running 21:15, I'll run a good race and not go out too hard. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But as far as arm wrestling, I still do plan to do some training. I still plan to do some competing. Won't be at my best if I do keep doing the running. That's no excuse. It just is what it is. But long term, I have no idea what I can do, to be honest. I just know I'm going to keep training for running up until this 5K on July 4th. And then from there, I'll probably keep running as long as I can for now. Yeah, it's just what's going on with me right now. Yeah, my bucket list is to do a marathon, so I'm not saying I'll do Grandma's marathon next year, but if I keep running hard and training hard, maybe, because you never know how many opportunities you're going to get. Back in 2018, I had some issues when I quit running, which is why I quit, and you never know how long you're going to keep being able to keep going for. I didn't think I'd ever be able to do this again, and so now that I'm able to, I might just do a marathon while I can, so I can get off my bucket list. I want to do Grandma's. It's the best one in Minnesota, one of the biggest ones, or best ones in the Midwest, even the country. It's like a top 10 most recognized race probably in the country, I would say. It's a slight downhill, but like just slight, so it's still, I think, an eligible course for records. Yeah, this video is long enough now, so I'm not going to talk anymore, but for now I'm doing that 5K. I'll probably pick 2 or 3 other more races to do this summer after that. Serious races, not counting like the Como relays, which maybe I'll do those. Those are fun. But now I live 50 minutes away from the cities, so anything in the cities is a drive. Used to live about 20 to 25 minutes away, 20 to 30 minutes away, depending on where in the cities the race was. Now I'm 45 to 60 minutes away from everything, so it's harder to do a weekday thing. But yeah, this was a long video. Probably only have about 2 people, maybe 3 still following, so I'm gonna cut this now, and that's my recap.